it can actually make a difference. As someone who is pretty sedentary, I sit or lay down most of the day. And I want to be very clear from the beginning. This is not a video to make you feel guilty or ashamed of the fact that you are sedentary. I'm not coming at this from a place of, well, you just got to get out and exercise. That's not our reality. So today, what I want to talk about is what I do to try and prevent the stiffness, to prevent the lockups in my body. I won't lie, I still spend about 20 to 22 hours a day either seated or laying down. Have you ever felt guilty of sitting or laying down all day, even though deep down you know this is what you need to do? That guilt is not helpful. What helps me more is asking, okay, if this is where my body has to be, what can I do when I'm in this position? The issue I intend on talking about today is not just sitting. For many of us, sitting is necessary. The issue is being frozen in one position for too long. When I stay in one set position for too long, my body starts locking up. My joints start losing mobility. They start spasming. They get more tender. And then when I try and get up, that makes it even worse because I'm trying to force them to move when they're in a more inflamed position. And you've got to break that spasm and that inflamed state, which of course, what's that do? It spikes your pain. As that stiffness builds, everything gets harder, whether it be shifting, standing, walking. So the overall goal is not necessarily to sit less often and to lie less often. It's about the little movements you can make while you're in that position that keep those joints fluid and to make sitting less punishment on your body. This is my adaptation to try and counter my fibro. The reason I'm telling you this is because I'm trying to show you that I come at this from the position of somebody who lives with, not someone who looks at a fantasy that we no longer can live with. We all want to stop having to worry about it. But that's the honest thing that you've got to look at. Your body's different than it used to be. So I'm speaking as someone from the inside of this problem. And I really would like for people to get a better understanding of what they do. So maybe they can lower their pain threshold by doing simple things, because often it's the simple things that make the most difference. When I originally started shifting, it wasn't because I thought of being able to reduce stiffness. The reason I was doing it was because of the sensation where your foot falls asleep, the stiffness that comes within your lower joints when you're sitting for a long period of time and not moving. We all know that feeling. But if I try standing on that, and the fact is my ankle's already weak. That sensation of falling asleep when I try and stand up on an already weakened joint, it really made me think of, okay, what can I do to try and prevent this? And so what I did is I started crossing my legs different ways. I started doing more what people call fidgeting, but for me is a control of my body to keep my joints limber. And in a way, this all turned out to be a very happy accident because it brought my attention to the fact that by doing these types of micro movements, it actually helped me. And in some ways, some things that we learn by accident turn out to actually be an improvement on our lives. When I talk about tiny movement, what I do and what I think is sometimes it may be just lifting your foot and rolling your ankle. Sometimes it can be like I do, which is I constantly shift which leg is on top. I tend to sit in a cross-legged position, even in a chair. That's in part because of the hip stiffness that I deal with a lot. That bursitis and tendinitis I've got in my left hip does not go away. So I'm constantly moving that joint to try and make sure that it doesn't lock up, because when it locks up, that's when I deal with massive spasms. It's little things like I'm constantly shifting position, whether it be playing with my hair, whether it be moving forward, moving back, maybe lifting my arms up and down, shifting on my bottom to see about changing the pressure points in my glutes. Maybe if it's even making sure I stay upright, but being willing to move back, just or heck, even the movement of my arms, because it causes little micro movements within your muscles. I'm not fidgeting because of I'm bored. I'm making a conscious choice that eventually becomes unconscious to keep my body moving. It's all about not letting my body lock up. While I was editing this episode, I realized that I forgot probably one of my most important and most widely used adaptive measure. And that's what I call chair dancing. When I was younger, I was very much into dancing, and I still am. I love it. But due to my legs, I'm not able to do it the way I used to. However, when I'm in my chair, I don't have to worry about falling. So I wiggle, I use my arms, I use my legs, I shake back and forth in the chair, I move my legs. I'm heavily into music. I use it. It's one of those things that it gets you out not only the emotion of the music, but it also keeps your body moving. And it is a very effective way of getting not only mental stimulation, but also physical. And I wanted to come back and record this because I think it's a very important adaptive measure. And maybe it's just adds a little bit of joy into trying to adapt to your illness. When you think about it, are there any little movements you make? Shifting your legs, moving your feet, shifting your back, because your body is trying to find a safer position, because your body is trying to find a safer or less painful position. Sometimes when you look at these questions, you got to wonder, is there something your body is trying to tell you? The goal is to notice them and then start using them, because the more you keep your muscles moving, the less likely you are to fall so deeply into fatigue. It's not a guarantee, nothing ever is, but it's what I have found, and it is what helped me. The main thing I want you to take away from this is that this is not about guilt. This is not about pretending that we can just get up and move more. It's not about pushing past what your body can safely do. It's about noticing those little things you do and building on them. Because you probably will have found if you start paying attention to what you do, you will find you already do some of this. And you'll notice on the days that you don't do some of these techniques, you're actually having a lot more pain. And then, of course, you do less and you get even more pain, so you do less. It's that same vicious cycle that we all have to learn to live with. For me, it means shifting my legs, shifting my back, and everything that I've already explained. But it's not about dramatic. It's about subtle. The fact is you live in a body that stiffens easily, that locks up easily. And it's on you to work with that system and find ways to improve its mobility. And I think that there's something that I want to make sure you understand. Rest is not a failure. Rest is something we need. Laying down is not a failure, nor is sitting. It's adaptation. Adaptation to a physical body that does have neurological damage. And it's about finding within yourself what makes it a little bit easier for you to continue. Your body may be forcing you to rest, may be forcing you to be still, but that does not mean you have to stop moving, nor does it mean that you're doing nothing. Sometimes those small adjustments are just part of what you need to do. Do you have a small movement, shift, or seated adaptation that helps you keep from locking up? Share it in the comments because it might be exactly the idea someone else needs today. I share more about living with fibromyalgia and learning how to manage it in a supportive way. So if that helps you, feel free to stick around. I know how isolating fibromyalgia can feel, so I have started a Discord where my hope is that people can come, talk, share experiences, and just feel less alone. I'll leave a link to that below. And if you'd rather reach out privately, I am including my email as well. Everything shared here is based on my personal experience living with fibromyalgia and my own research. This is not medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please use your own judgment and speak with a qualified professional when needed.